That story is really important for people when we're working with predator prey instinct, the way that like it's triggered in both directions. Like the predator
Yeah.
isn't always just on.
Yeah. If someone is playing into prey, inevitably there's gonna be a predator around. Like you're gonna create that. And so when the predator is integrated, like when you're unafraid of that part, right? It's not that then you have to like play into being a violator, a hunter, but it's like you are in that you're in that rightful holding of your power. You're in that rightful holding of that part of you that if needed you can bring it out, you know what I mean? It's not living from that spot, but it's like I can bring it, I'm okay with that.
You can even like disarm when you're holding the embodiment of like neither predator nor prey, but like the integration of that entire cycle. You hold the embodiment of it and it just disarms in both directions, whether someone is wanting to be prey or predator, like your embodiment of just sturdiness and firmness and rightness inside of it will disarm either of them. Like Wyatt said, because you're not spitting the poison or swallowing it.
Yeah, and it's just interesting because it's like I think sometimes we get in there and we want to like excavate. Like I think with the predator aspect, it's like see the thing, see the, it's like can get like overly aggressive and try to like control the site or needing people to see it. Or it's just like a lot of my practice when it's come to that is like not leaning over like a limp noodle, but it's also just like Haleigh was saying, just holding that frequency. And a lot of the times it's just like the work is done for you. Like the universe actually will fucking do the work and it will unfold. And sometimes it happens immediately. Sometimes it's a year later, it's like a lot of it is just that surrender and trust of if I hold the rightness in myself, I actually don't have to go around and manipulate and orchestrate my surroundings.
1000%. This has been huge in my learning, is like the more immature part of me had sight and could see things and wanted to use that as an unconscious way of controlling so that I would be okay internally by them being able to see it versus actually just holding the seeing and like holding the seeing, not needing to control anything, and like things actually just fall into place from that. Like that's all. That's you do not if you have that need, that's actually a spot you really actually have to hold yourself.
Mm. This just came up the other day too, like in the spot, the places that I've been on Instagram lately was, someone telling me, trying to give me tools to teach that person and that if I just opened my heart enough that, someone that's calling, coming at me, that if I really had the skills and tools to communicate with them, I could really help them. And it's like exactly what you're saying. It's like I'm not gonna, it's almost like extracting from my sight to feed my savior, to feed my like want to and it's really at this point, especially pregnant, hones in so deep what an abuse of my life force energy that is, and how it's just like wanting to control the pain of this person doesn't get it. Not only do they not see me, but like I know they're suffering in that spot and it's just not my business. And
Yep, 100%. It is a lot of the time, like, I know, Carla, you've talked about this too. It's just like really allowing other people's journeys without our interjection, despite what we can see.
and
100%.
how
And
that looks dangerous
well,
externally sometimes.
Yeah, because it's like, oh, you're not helping them. You don't care. You're
Selfish.
cold-hearted. Like I've been called, yeah, cold-hearted, removed, and I'm just like, oh, actually, to me, this is the most loving thing I actually can do.
the most loving thing that we sometimes do is play the so-called role of the villain in someone's life.
Yeah. Like Austin. I know we had a really beautiful talk about that when I left, when I was like, my gosh, how beautiful. Like having so much gratitude for Austin being so agitating and confronting for me and willing to like, not that Austin cares, it's a place, but it was just like willing to be like, okay, Wyatt can hate me, but I have a job. This is my job actually for her
Yeah.
to evolve. And and I think the discernment is like then not building up like then taking this and then using it as an excuse to be an asshole or actually remove, it's like the
It's
ways in which we can take these things and then it's like reinforcing some other aspect that is also not in rightness and true. So it's not about being a dick for the sake of it or protecting or
no, no, no,
uh,
no, no.
yeah.
It's not a misuse of that teaching or truth that we play into being the villain at times. It's like it is our job to like unravel the spots where um we're caught in that. And you know, sometimes the villain just looks like the person who like doesn't come in and save you from a spot that you need to hold yourself, or like is willing to just really just reflect to you the thing that no one else is willing to say, or just like these kind of ways where yeah, because I've also had the experience of you know people giving me like harsh medicine, like giving me like the harsh like being willing to be that villain in a way that actually, like, I think for them, right, and in myself as well, it's like, ooh, that actually was not coherent. Like that actually didn't need to be done in that way. And it's like cleaning up those spots, like actually being willing to see them.
Yeah. And I think it's like for me also the practice is like making sure when I'm surrendering something, it's not me then actually being avoidant.
Mm.
So it's like I have to do kind of a check and balance. Sometimes it comes really naturally and sometimes it like feels a little stickier. And usually if it feels sticky, I'm like, oh, okay, I'm probably being avoidant.
Yes.
Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's just like yeah, and then not using it to reinforce another behavior that
Mm.
isn't right either, like in alignment either.
The spot for me too in like the scenario that you described, Karla, is like when I'm taking a medicine like that where it's been really bitter from a teacher and it's felt like it didn't have to be like it, it's like this wasn't totally right, and I can feel it, but the medicine's still there, and then to still be able to take it and have grace, right, for the imperfections of the way that it comes and
It
And
like
not making the other person bad.
not make,
not, yeah, not making them dangerous now.
not make it
Mhm.
bad, you- taking the lesson, taking the grace and being like, oh, okay. Whew, that was a
That's
that was a could have been done different, could have been done in a different way. And okay.
yeah,
Yeah,
because
because
I
I
actually
the
do.
medicine's still there. It's just being able to like distill it down to, okay, maybe I got it in a way that I didn't prefer. And because it's like everyone's going through their own thing too. Like it's just talking about that perfection. It's like maybe that teacher needed to present it that way and I needed to have it that way. And
So that I
it allowed everyone to evolve in the way that they needed to in that situation. But I think it is really easy. And I think, Karla, you've had this a lot where it's like, it's really easy to not take the medicine and just stop at the thing that, like, the delivery feeling
Could have been better.
not
Yeah.
great. And then people being like, well, fuck you. And then
100%.
like hyper focusing on that. And I've had that on different levels because like I'm not a teacher, but I've had that experience in my life where it's like people just would stop at the agitation rather than being like, okay, how, like what's actually really here? Like what's the undercurrent? What's the thing that really actually needs to be touched? And also be like, okay, I'm okay not having that experience again in how I received it too.
Hmm.
Exactly. Well, and coming back to like women, I feel like women are so entrained in like like we're told so often, open your heart more. Can't you just like smooth it out? Like can't you just can't you just like make it softer like in a way where like it's gonna be received like and I do actually think that this is nuance because I do actually think that there's truth in that. I do actually think that there is medicine in like removing the jabs out of
Hmm.
the way that we give, but that doesn't mean putting on a pseudo softness or like being because like the feminine holds the fucking fire too, the fire, the sword, like she holds that, and it's not being afraid. It's knowing the balance, right? It's like noticing where is that imbalanced? Where is that actually like just becoming kind of this and not actually? It's knowing how to use it in a way that is like homeopathic medicine and understanding that a moment is going to be like you're not gonna like be like, oh, like give me the medicine, but only give it to me soft. It's like sometimes it's gonna come soft, it's gonna come like a poison, and it's like understanding that that's a part of it and not trying to like dilute the
Hmm.
potency of what like true feminine like energy, just like I'm just gonna call it feminine energy actually really is, because it's like she is the storm, like she is the hurricane, like she will bring that, like that's inside of us. And so this is like a spot that for me, being such a fiery woman, I have to like really watch for, and I've really softened over the years with my own self and with my in my work and whatnot, and noticing too the spot where then I'm like, oh, okay, and I can never like bring any like again, and it's like that's actually not it either. It's just being more tuned to what's needed and listening for that, feeling internally in your own body, like where is this coming from? And like really, I think resting in the womb and pussy, where we can actually attune, we can attune deeper and we're like in ourselves. So it's not just like coming out sideways and distorted, but it's coming forth, it's coming forth more coherent.
Mm.
Yeah.
I was sitting with yesterday, Elias asked me something about how why sweet foods are perceived as good, and then like bitter food, we call someone bitter, and it's like we actually really need bitter food, but yet we like label bitter as you're like that person was bitter. And I responded with him in Ayurvedic speak, which is just like, only babies in Ayurveda is so much about rasa, it's about the taste, and only babies can only live off the taste of sweet. They exclusively live off sweet. And so it's like the knowing of
Mhm.
balancing the taste, of balancing the spice with the bitter, with the sweet. And it makes me think of parts work. Like what age of part are you working with? If you're working with someone's baby, like they're going to need to eat sweetly
Mhm.
exclusively.
And
They're not going to understand nuance.
100%, like when I work with someone's baby or my own, it's like you guys have probably seen me or felt me do this, right? It's like becoming like a feather. It's like it's becoming like it's like there's like such a like tender, slow feather. Like you can't even like fully even like touch. Like you can't come in like that, it's like, and
Mm,
and then other parts, right? I mean, not even like necessarily like, yeah, like protectors or these kind of like the wounded identities, right? The victim, the addict, the seductress, like the rescuer, the wounded identities that are like protecting us from deep pain. It's like these parts of ourselves, um, sometimes they need a little like sit down, like sit down. It doesn't mean like you need to fucking like destroy them either, because they're just trying to protect, because beneath there's pain. But it's like sometimes with the victim, it's like if you bring in just that sweetness, the victim is just gonna fucking eat that up. If you do that with the addict, like, and you're really blended with that part, like they're just gonna eat it up and actually not go in deeper. So
But
it's
it
like
could go the other way too, though, because if they like being punished, like I've fallen into a dynamic a lot where I pull in people who like to be punished.
Mm.
And so it's like when you actually bring the punisher or then they're then you're staying in this dynamic. So it is just that nuance of really creating that inner discernment around, okay, yeah, actually, sweetness needs to be brought here. Oh, yeah, actually, it needs to be a little more bitter, and it's really just going to shift. But I was also thinking, Haleigh, when you're talking about bitterness, it's like, um, there's actually like a practice to help turn on people's nervous system is like using bitters. There's like a bitter therapy. And because of like how that interacts with your tongue and what that turns on, it's like all of it. Yeah. It's not just, I think the conclusion we've come to, it's like you need it all and you need the discernment to be able to know when to pull forth what.
thanks for bringing in the punishing piece because this is so like the Punisher piece is so fucking big.
Yeah. I mean,
Like
I have a big punisher in me.
me too. Me too. I really like finally fully fucking see it. And what it took for me was being punished more intensely than I would ever punish myself.
Mm.
It took me having being punished more intensely than I would ever punish myself in order to see how big of a punisher I have internally.
Mm.
To just be like,
Hmm.
oh yeah, no, that's gotta unravel. Like I'm actually a no to that, and I have to like really lay that one down.
Yeah.
What I find is just in this work that typically people who are like really here for the long haul are they're gonna have that punishment piece because it's part of what it's like it's part of their discipline and it is off, but it is also what gets them here, and then eventually it like has to shift into grace or else the work can't go any farther forward.
It's just, it's too
1000%.
violent, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. And it is like that because this work is such a purification, that if somebody has like more like real hedonistic tendencies, they're not going to make it to the work, or collapse tendencies, like they're not going to make it to the practice. So that when you're working with someone who's like they're in it, they're showing up, they I would say 100% of the time have that. I haven't seen it not be intact where the punisher is got to be moved through.
I think about 80% of the people that come to me have really big punishers. Yeah. Yeah. It's like there you get to that point where the Punisher can't come with you. Like it's like, thank you, Punisher, you got me here. You know what I mean? Like I do a lot of, I mean, you guys know this, you guys are part of it too, like intense ceremonial work, intense fucking like, vision fast and staying up all night and like pray like it's like bringing this kind of like you're in there like connecting to spirit and kind of like fucking on some level fucking up your body or doing things that are like not what your body would want, right? But they like crack you from the inside. And actually like in this kind of work is like really where um
Mm.
I got to see like all like it actually brought me to my knees of like, oh, this is all about like really actually softening. And it's not, oh, now I don't do that, because of it and now I'm going to see this as a punishment. It's not that either. It's just like it's just like coming to that spot of like, oh, I actually to really really touch into these deeper places. And why touch into those deeper places to bring forth more of what's true, my essence inside is like I have to like actually really soften these parts of me, so yeah, it's funny when you get to that point where you're like, oh fuck, I gotta really like I really gotta like integrate and love my Punisher. Thank you so fucking much. And yeah.
This feels like it like started at LOBA, but especially when we did our fast, and I just slept through the whole fucking thing. And that's just not me. I would have been there like forcing myself to sit up straight, just like all this kind of stuff. And it was foreshadowing this pregnancy where most of my, I often will need like a 2 hour nap about at least once or twice a week. And what gets sacrificed is my practice. And it's like just as it was in our vision fast, where like, oh, the work was actually getting done for me while I was asleep. And it's still happening right now as I'm pregnant. It's like my practice is getting done in my sleep.
You
I'm
know,
like not doing anything.
know that I had the same exact thing happen to me at Moon Dance, like a ceremony that I go to. Like we stay up all night for 4 nights with like these kind of little small intervals, and it's fucking hardcore. Like and we're rattles on our around our ankles, like rattling and like literally praying and like dancing in a particular way that like opens these portals through ceremony. It opens these portals so that like spirit can hear your prayers. It's like this whole gorgeous thing. And like I got so fucked up that I like it was like with my womb, and I was like I would like was moving through it, like these curanderas were like helping me out, like they were like it was like a whole thing that I was in. And it was like the spot where like I had this like I have to make every single night, I have to walk every single night, and I just could not. And I literally like it's such a strong ceremony that you can't actually be like you can't like be off in the tent, like it's like spiritually not safe, like you have to be in the protection field because of the kind of portal that they open. So I was like literally at the center where like the woman, like there's like a group of women who are like hitting this big drum for all night, and I was literally like around that little circle as the women were all outside, like hundreds of women. And I was just like laying on in my sleeping bag, like right there all night long. And every time I would like wake up, because I would like, I would hear the sound or whatever, like I just heard my ancestors just like caress my face, just being like, no, babe, we got you. Like it's so, makes me cry. Like we got you. Like it's happening. Like your prayers are heard. Like you don't have to stand up. Like you get to like lay down. And it was like, that was like, such a huge moment for me of um like really surrendering the work that actually just happens in full surrender, like in just like full fucking surrender.
Yeah.
It just happens.
It does. I think that's a hard lesson for Mars and Aries.
I don't get to do it.
I don't
What?
get to be a warrior right now.
Can I can I
Oh,
can I do it? I can't do
I got
it.
this.
But I want to, but I need the fight.
What do I do?
And just
Mhm.
and also just like loving that part too, it's like I'm really fucking grateful for that part. Like I'm really fucking grateful. Like I would not change that. Like I'm so stoked on my constitution and like what's in here. You know what I mean? Like, and I think both of you can attest is like in your own ways, like through your own stories, like moving through deep substance addiction, moving through like just so many like actually dangerous situations and circumstances, and like having this like thing, that keeps you going, that it's like, okay, I fucking fall, but I'm like, I'm coming back up again. Like I'm standing again. Like I think that that's actually a really beautiful thing to have. And it's just about the discernment of when that is the force and when that is the like rooted resilience that is actually needed in these times, and like for oneself to actually be on this path of purification and of truth and alchemy, because you're gonna get fucking knocked if you
Yeah.
don't if you don't either have it or you cultivate some of it. It's just
Mm,
it's just this dance.
Mm.
yeah. My yoga teachers taught on resiliency a lot, and it's something that I have a lot of resiliency, and I always have. And it's like this ability, you take the hit and you're stronger because of it. It's like it's not just that you can take a hit, it's that your system absorbs it, integrates it, and becomes more intelligent and stronger because of it. And
Yeah.
there's a difference between just like taking a hit and it's not even over and you're getting back up and you're getting hit again and you're not even integrating it. Is just that's the part that we're talking about that we have. That's the unintegrated, which is the Punisher.
Yeah,
Just hit over
exactly.
and over, and then you get
I
addicted
was
to hit.
Well, and I was thinking about it based like when you did that post, Karla, about, not like opening. And I was just like, so much like anyone can have an opening. Like anyone can go do ayahuasca, anyone can go do shrooms, but it's like, can
Shrooms, I
you
love your.
hold it? It's like, can you hold it? Can you hold the thing that got blasted open in you and create a new structure around it? You know? And so it's just like that's so much of the work where it's like, yeah, I'm really fucking good at having intense experiences. I can do that all day, but it's like, can I actually create that daily practice? Can I create that dedication? Can I create that devotion so I don't just open, collapse, open, collapse, open, collapse, open,
Can
collapse?
I be willing to hold the blueprint of what I open and see about my soul in my body and remember it and hold it and name the truth in the moment when it's needed?
Hmm.
Not just like I'm gonna do it halfway. I'm gonna do it sometimes and not do it. It's like, no, you gotta do it all the time.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? And it's okay if you don't, right? But it's like dust yourself off and try again. Dust yourself off, try again, try again.
I've heard that song in so long.
It's like been the song lately. No, but it's really fucking real. I want to name one more thing, and we can close up whenever. But I'm loving this. um, uh, recently, a client of mine said, she's like, I noticed that like when you give me a stroke, which like stroke is like, like like a reflection, right? Like a teaching, like a reflection that like like it's like mirroring the spot that like needs to actually be fucking seen and that is going to agitate for it to be seen, but it needs to like be touched. She was like, I noticed that I'm just like surviving your stroke. She's like, it's like I take a stroke and then I like get like a relief from surviving the stroke. And then it's like, and then you know what I mean? And then like nothing, and it's like that's the spot, right? Like life strokes us. Life strokes us, life gives us these kinds of like because it's not just people who stroke us, it's like life strokes us. Life gives us the thing. And it's like, are we just trying to survive them? Like, are we just like trying like getting them and then like but like not letting it all the way in, which what does that require? Opening, like actually being penetrated by life, like actually like feeling the spot that it touches, right? And I'm naming this pattern not like it's like this is a pattern that people have, like, right? It's like I've had this pattern. It's like, can I be open and penetrable in the sense of like actually letting, like using that resilience that I have, using that capacity to feel that I have, and actually use it to help me open from inside so that I actually then create from there the new way of being. So that actually a new rewiring of the way that I move, that I actually meet that circumstance again shifts. And that's like really the spot is like, how willing are we to take life strokes and really let them restructure us from the
Yeah. It
Mm.
really speaks to my experience this summer when I was with you, Karla, and like, moving through that huge gate of surrender. And I just realized I was like, oh, I'm in a place of just endurance where I'm just enduring life, which I think is what you're speaking to of this survival, where it's like, oh, I'm just enduring. And then I was doing it with the reward was that I could collapse.
Mm.
And so
I'm glad you're naming
I,
this is huge. This is huge.
yeah.
This
And I was
energetic.
like, oh, fuck. I was like, I, what I had to do. was get real sober with that pattern. And I just remember being on my knees and being like, I don't want to endure life anymore.
Mm.
And it felt like I was giving up because what I was shown in my family was like, oh, endurance is strength.
Mm.
And I was like, to a point, yes. But when it's just like you're just getting to the next thing over and over again, you're like, you're actually you're not taking anything in.
Mm.
Whew. Just really want to give space for that because this is like
Mm.
such a big one.
And it just goes back to that prayer where I was like, this year, I was like, I want to learn to receive fully. And that means like receive it all, not just seeking like the good. It's like, how do I actually really neutralize my experiences? Because they aren't good, they aren't bad. There is like, to me, there's like not positive and negative. It's like there's fucking depth and beauty in it all. And I think people are just so scared to see the beauty in the shadow.
They want to receive, they say that they like we say we want to receive. And this is like where like, goddess wisdom, Kali comes in, right? It's like she holds like it all as sacred. It's like can you love this? Can you love this? Can you love this? But not in a way of like enduring. It's not that like this is such a nuanced little spot. Like, and if you can really feel it, like it changes everything. It's like if we want to be receptive, we're going to receive more joy. We're going to receive more intimacy, more beauty, more magic, more connection, more love. And in that comes the opposite. It's like the prophet, right? The book, like joy, like the poems, and it has like one of like joy and sorrow. It's like the other face of sorrow is joy, the other face of joy is sorrow, and it's like you gotta be okay with like having both. Like it's like I actually really want. I'm gonna grab that and just read it real quick because it's like it drives it home. This book has been. Have you guys read this book?
What
Which
is it?
one is it? Oh,
The Prophet.
jeez. I have
Mm-mm.
not. No.
This book. And I think we'll close it with this. Okay. 38.
Is it poetry? Is it a book of poetry?
Yes.
Oh, I love that. Thea, come here. Come here, baby. Mhm.
Then a woman said, "Speak to us of joy and sorrow." And he answered, "Your joy is your sorrow unmasked, and the selfsame well from which your laughter rises was oftentimes filled with your tears. And how else can it be? The deeper that sorrow carves into your being, the more joy you can contain. Is not the cup that holds your wine the very cup that was burned in the potter's oven? And is it not the lute that soothes your spirit, the very wood that was hollowed with knives? When you are joyous, look deep into your heart, and you shall find it is only that which has given you sorrow that is giving you joy. When you are sorrowful, look again in your heart, and you shall see that in truth you are weeping for that which has been your delight. Some of you say, joy is greater than sorrow, and others say, nay, sorrow is the greater. But I say unto you, they are inseparable. Together they come, and when one sits alone with you at your board, remember that the other is asleep upon your bed. Verily, you are suspended like scales between your sorrow and your joy. Only when you are empty are you at standstill and balanced. When the treasure keeper lifts you to weigh his gold and his silver, needs must your joy or your sorrow rise or fall.
Can you take a photo of that and send it to me?
Yeah.
I love that.
Isn't that just beautiful? It's,
It's, yeah. I, yeah.
and it's like that's that's it, right? Like this spot of like I wrote a quote around like living a soul-led life is about like living with the quiver in your bones. It's like living with the tremble. I don't even remember the exact words that I use, but it's like living with the tremble of the opening, but like the containment to be able to like hold it. You know, it's like I think it's so much to be fully alive and open that it either like leaks out all the way in addiction, which is like the easy path, right? Or it's like we like fucking tame it all the way. Like we just like tame it. We just like keep it locked up and like don't allow ourselves to be that touched and penetrated by all of it.
Mm.
I love you guys.
Love you too.
I love you so much. Just feeling like just so fucking grateful for the both of you.
Likewise.
Same.
Such a depth in my heart, like just
Mm.